Hello and welcome to our next video. Last time we looked at the actions that hurt the environment. This time we're going to look at the results of those actions. And our ways of looking at the issues have changed over time. Firstly, the older way. This way looked at environmental problems as a direct result from some human activity, a one-to-one relationship. So it was like this. You had dirty smoke from a factory going into the air, causing air pollution. Because of that, people and animals had lung problems. So explanations generally start with the activity, the smoke from the factory, and then they look at the environmental and the human consequences. The more recent way looks at environmental issues that have many causes and many effects. And these issues still struggle to get accepted in some places. We have known for 300 years that burning coal makes the air dirty and causes sickness, a one-to-one relationship. For even longer, we have known that if you put dangerous chemicals in water, you can't drink that water afterwards, a one-to-one relationship. The more recent approach starts with assessment of environmental problems and then works backwards to find the causes. And the learning from the new approach is that many environmental problems have many causes and many effects. The problems that have been identified more recently come from looking at what is happening from a different angle. In the past, the debate went something like this. What are we doing? We are burning a lot of coal. What problems does that cause? The air is dirty and some people get sick. Now things have changed. So in the past, we started with what we're doing and then looked at the environmental impacts. Then we flip things. Now we start with what is happening in the environment and then we try to find out why. So the process is more like we have seen from climate records that the weather is getting warmer year by year. Why is that happening? This method is much more difficult. Many of the problems we see in the environment don't have only one cause and one effect. And this is good and bad. It's good because now we can see problems that have many causes. Previously, when we only looked at one cause equals one effect, we could not see the problems that had many causes. It's bad because if there are many causes, there will be disputes about who is responsible for what. It becomes a lot harder to find the right way to fix the problem. So here we have at the top the many causes of global warming: burning fossil fuels, more cars and planes, hole in the ozone layer, more world population, natural causes. And at the bottom, we have the many effects: the sea level rises, the more natural disasters, crop failures, drought. Sorting out links between a specific cause and a specific effect is a nightmare. And answers are easy to challenge both scientifically and also legally. So some businesses like it that the science is so easy to challenge. So here's a made-up story for an example. So we have a big electricity generator that's supplying electricity to 25% of homes and businesses in the USA. It's making a lot of profit from the present situation, and they don't want that to change. Then someone writes an article to say that the smoke from their electricity generator is making global warming worse. How can they respond? They quickly set up a meeting. This could mean we make less profit in the future. It's deadly serious. This is war. We need a plan. So their first step, stage one of the plan, they say there's no such thing as global warming. You want a government that makes rules about a lot of things. So you're saying global warming is real to get the kind of rules you want. We don't believe you. This argument often claims that supporters of the environment have political, not environmental motives. They like governments to make rules about what businesses can do, like in a mixed economy, instead of businesses getting on with making everyone rich, like in capitalism. In other words, global warming is a political idea, and they make up scientific articles to support it. Now, if their stage one plan doesn't work, they will move on to stage two. So they will say global warming is 100% natural. They admit that global warming exists, but they say it's natural. And it's true that climate records show times have been hotter and colder in the past. So the electricity company says the rise in temperature is only the same thing happening again. If it's natural, the electricity generator isn't to blame, and they can continue making their profits doing the same as before. So if that doesn't work, they move on to stage three. They say, okay, we agree global warming exists, but it's not our fault. The problem is all the motorists putting dirty smoke from their cars into the air. And if the electricity generator isn't to blame, once again, they can continue making their profits doing the same as before. Then on to the next one. If that one doesn't work, they say, if you fine us, you make us pay money because we're polluting the air, you should fine all the motorists as well. That's only fair if we are both causes of the problem. This is a very clever move. It's politics being used for economic reasons to make bigger profits. They know that governments would not want to fine motorists because there are a lot of motorists. If they fine them, the motorists wouldn't vote for them at the next election, so they would not be the government anymore. Okay, if that one doesn't work, they'll move on to this one. If you fine us, we'll have to increase the price we charge our customers. This is a similar clever move and also politics being used for economic reasons to make bigger profits. If people had to pay more for electricity, they would blame the government and they wouldn't vote for them at the next election. So once again, they would not be the government anymore. And finally, the last thing, they say, okay, we agree to buy carbon credits from people who plant forests to reduce CO2. So this is where the government has a plan that the people who do things that reduce CO2, like planting forests, get carbon credits, which they can then sell to people like the electricity company who cause CO2 to go into the atmosphere. So this is the last plan. It's going to cost the electricity company money and profits, but at least they can continue what they're doing. The main point about this list is that it slows things down. Every step might take several years. So by the time they get to step 6, it might be 15 to 25 years after they started step 1. And that's 15 to 25 more years of making big profits. In that time, there can also be big political changes. In the USA, for example, when Barack Obama was president, the government was getting close to step 6. With Donald Trump as president, it was back to stage 1. So in the debate between economics and the environment, having the politicians on your side is a big help, even in a democracy. The big businesses on the economic side of the debate have a lot more money than the environmental side. And they are able to control politicians by giving them money to help them get elected. Then the politicians owe something to the businesses who help them. And the businesses tell them, you can pay us back by not doing anything about global warming. So on the left, we have the rich businesses saying, you remember how we gave you millions of dollars to help you win the election? Now it's time to pay us back. And the politician is saying, just tell me what you want me to say, and I'll say it. The second main point is so important, even if it doesn't take long to say it. Even if they go through every stage on this list, right down to having to pay because they are making pollution, they don't have to stop damaging the environment. They can still continue doing it as long as they pay the fine. And this is the end, my friend. See you next time.